About 7. So they're attacking from the north. The captain was right. A few minutes later, a lot of pirates came out of the woods to the north. They ran towards the stockade and climbed over the wall. The squire and Gray fired their guns. They killed 2 pirates, but 4 of them ran toward us. 1 pirate attacked the doctor. The captain shouted, "Fight them outside the cabin with cutlasses!" Quickly, I took a cutlass and ran out of the cabin. Gray was behind me. The doctor killed his attacker. I ran to the left and I saw a pirate. Suddenly I fell. The pirate was going to kill me, but Gray ran from behind me and killed him. Now 4 pirates were dead. The other one ran away and escaped. The doctor, Gray, and I ran back quickly to the cabin. Hunter was dead and Joyce died later. The captain was wounded. "How many of them are dead?" he asked the doctor. 5, including the pirate last night. "That's good. Now there are 4 of us against 8 of them." Chapter 7. My Sea Adventure. The pirates didn't return. While the squire and I cooked dinner, the doctor helped the captain. "Your wound isn't dangerous," he told him, "but you must rest." After dinner, the doctor put on his hat and took his pistols. He also took a cutlass and a map, and he left the stockade and went into the woods. "What's he doing?" Gray asked me. "I think he's going to find Ben Gunn." "He's crazy," laughed Gray. Then I also did something crazy. It was very hot in the stockade now. There was a lot of blood. There were dead men. I began to feel bad. I wanted to leave and go into the woods like the doctor. So I put a lot of biscuits in my pockets and I took 2 pistols. Then I ran out of the stockade and into the trees. Nobody saw me. Yes, I was crazy, but I was only a boy, and you will see that I helped to save all of us. I decided to find Ben Gunn's boat, so I went towards the White Rock. I could see the Hispaniola in the harbor to my right. I ran quickly to the White Rock and I looked for Ben Gunn's boat. I found it, a very small, light boat. There was also a paddle. Now I had another crazy idea. I decided to go to the Hispaniola and cut her anchor rope. Then she would go towards the beach and stop there, so the pirates couldn't escape. It was very dark now, but I could just see the pirates' big fire near the river and the lights of the Hispaniola. I took the little boat down to the sea. The current was strong, and it carried me fast towards the Hispaniola. When I was near her, I took the anchor rope in my hand. It was very rigid. I thought, this rope is dangerous. I mustn't cut it, or it will hit me. But I was lucky, because the wind changed and the ship moved towards me. Now the rope wasn't rigid, and I could cut it. At that moment, I heard voices in the captain's cabin. It was Israel hands and a pirate with a red cap. They were drunk. They were also angry, and each man was shouting at the other. When I cut the rope, the Hispaniola began to move round with the current. I paddled towards the window of Captain Smollett's cabin to watch Hans and his companion. I climbed up a rope, and I saw a terrible fight between the 2 men. They wanted to kill each other. I went down the rope to the boat. Suddenly the current changed again. The ship and my little boat turned and went towards the island. The pirates' campfire was very near. Then the ship turned again and went away from me very fast. I was now alone in my little boat. The waves were strong and high. I was very wet and cold. I sat there in terror. Tin going to die soon, I thought. But sleep soon came to me and I dreamed of home. It was day when I woke up. My boat was at the southwest end of the island. I wasn't far from land, but there were cliffs and big rocks. Then I remembered the map. I knew there was a good place called Cape of the Woods to the north. I also remembered that the map showed a strong north current, so I decided to stop at the Cape of the Woods. My little boat went up and down on the big waves, and I was very frightened. I paddled slowly. It was hard work, and I became tired and thirsty. Then I saw the trees of the Cape of the Woods, but the current was very strong, and it took me past the cape. Suddenly, I saw the Hispaniola in front of me, about half a mile away. Now the pirates will kill me, I thought. But the ship was moving strangely. She sailed and stopped, and she turned north, south, east, west. I watched her with surprise. And then I understood. The two pirates were drunk or asleep. I had an idea. Perhaps I can go on board and take her to the captain. So I paddled towards her, and when I came near to her, I jumped onto the bowsprit above me. My boat went under the water, but now I was on the Hispaniola. Was there anybody on board? I heard only the sound of the ship when she turned in the wind. Then I saw the two pirates on deck. Perhaps they were asleep. But when I saw some blood on the deck, I was sure they were dead. Then Israel's hands moved. "Brandy," he said in a weak voice. I went down to the captain's cabin. There were lots of empty bottles. I found one with some brandy, and I took some biscuits and cheese and went up on deck. I drank a lot of water from the water barrel, and then I gave the brandy to Hans. He drank a lot quickly. I sat down and began to eat. "What happened here?" I asked. Hans looked at the man with the red cap. "Well, that dirty dog is dead," he replied. "What are you doing here?" "This ship is mine now, Mr. Hans, so please call me Captain." He looked at me, but he didn't speak. When I took down the black pirate flag, he said, "Shall we talk, Captain Hawkins? Me and this man here, O'Brien. We wanted to sail the ship back to the harbor where she was before. But, well, he's dead now. Who is going to sail her? You? No, you can't do it. Give me food and drink and something for my wound. Then I'll tell you how to sail her." "We're not going back to the harbor," I answered. "Tin's sailing the ship to North Inlet, and I'm going to take her onto the beach there." Chapter 8. North Inlet? Yes, I'll help you to sail her there. All right, tell me what I must do. And in a few minutes, the Hispaniola began to sail north. I put a handkerchief on Hans' leg. He ate, and he drank more brandy. Soon he was better. The ship was dirty, and I cleaned it. But the eyes of the pirate watched me, and he smiled sometimes. A strange, bad smile. We sailed fast along the north of the island towards North Inlet. But we couldn't take the ship on the beach immediately, so we waited for the tide to change. Then Hans spoke. "Captain," he said with a strange smile, "will you go to the cabin and bring me a bottle of wine? This brandy is too strong." I didn't believe this, and I knew that he had a plan, but I also knew that he was stupid. So I went down below, but I didn't go to the cabin. I went to a place where I could watch Hans. And I was right. He went across the deck on his hands and knees. In front of him there was a circle of rope. He took a long knife out of it. The knife had blood on it. He put it in his pocket. So Israel's Hans wanted to kill me. But I was safe for the moment. He won't kill me now, I thought. He'll wait, because he can't bring the ship onto the beach without me. I took the wine to Hans, and he drank some of it. Jim, cut me some tobacco, he said. I haven't got a knife. Ah, Jim, I'm going to die. Cut me my last piece of tobacco. So I cut him a piece. You're a bad man, Mr. Hans, I said. Oh? Why, Jim? Why? You killed this man O'Brien, he answered, because I know that dead men don't kill. Amen. Now, Captain Hawkins, you listen to my orders and we'll sail this ship onto the beach. It was difficult, but Hans was a very good pilot. We went into North Inlet, where the water was calm. There, said Hans. I can see a good beach. We'll put the ship there. At the right moment, he said, Now, beach her now, Jim. When the Hispaniola began to go fast towards the beach, I was excited, and I forgot about Israel Hans. He was behind me. Perhaps I heard something, and I suddenly turned my head. Hans was there, with his knife in his right hand. He was going to kill me, and I shouted in terror. When he came towards me, I ran behind the mast and took a pistol from my pocket. I tried to fire it at Hans, but it was wet with seawater. He came towards me. His face was red with anger. Just then, the Hispaniola hit the beach. She fell on her side at an angle of 45 degrees, and Hans and I fell with her. I was on my feet very quickly. But now I couldn't run away because the deck was at a 45-degree angle. Quickly I jumped onto the mast and climbed to the top. I sat on the crosstree and waited for Hans. He looked up at me, and he didn't know what to do. I loaded my 2 pistols. Then, with the knife in his mouth, Hans began to climb the mast. Don't come up, Mr. Hans, or I'll kill you, I said. He stopped. He tried to think, but he was slow and stupid. Then he took the knife from his mouth and said, Jim, I must kill you, but it's difficult for me to kill a boy like you. And suddenly his right hand moved fast, and the next moment the knife went into my shoulder. My 2 pistols fired, then they fell from my hands. There was a cry, and I looked down. Israel Hans was falling into the water. Then he was on the sand on the bottom of the sea, and he was dead. The knife was in my shoulder. There was a lot of blood on my coat and shirt. I felt very bad. When I tried to take the knife out, I began to tremble. And then suddenly it came out. I climbed down the mast and went to the cabin. My wound was small and it wasn't dangerous. I cleaned it and put a handkerchief round it. Then I went up to the deck. It was evening now, and I decided to go to the island. I wanted to tell Captain Smollett and the others about my adventure. I wanted to tell them that the ship was ours now. So I left the ship and began to walk in the direction of the stockade. The night was very dark, and it was difficult for me to see. Then the moon came up, and I found the stockade. When I saw the red light of a fire outside the cabin, I stopped. This was strange. My companions usually made a fire inside the cabin. Slowly, quietly, I went towards the cabin on my hands and knees. At the door, I stood up and looked inside. It was dark. I couldn't see anything. I walked in, and suddenly, a strange voice said, "Pieces of 8! Pieces of 8! Pieces of 8!" Captain Flint, Silver's parrot. I wanted to run away, but there was no time. "Who's there?" shouted Silver. I turned. I ran away, but I ran into the arms of one of the pirates. Chapter 9. In Silver's Camp. "Bring a torch, Dick," Silver said. Dick went out and brought a piece of wood from the fire. Now I saw my terrible situation. Silver and his men had the stockade. My companions weren't there, and I was a prisoner. "Well," said Long John, "Jim Hawkins has come to visit us. That's a nice surprise for old John." And he began to smoke his pipe. "I've always liked you, Jim boy." Silver continued, "You've got courage, but now you're going to die. Your friends won't help you. You ran away and you can't go back to them. They don't want you." So my friends were alive. I was very happy about this. "So you can decide, Jim," Silver said. "What do you want, to be with us or to die?" Death was very near now, and I was frightened. "Before I decide, can you tell me what happened here and where my friends are?" I asked. Silver replied, "Yesterday morning Dr. Livesey came to us with a white flag. He said to me, 'The ship has gone. You're finished, Captain Silver.' I looked, and yes, it was true. The ship wasn't there. 'All right, Doctor,' I said. 'We'll talk.' So we talked, and here we are in the cabin with lots of food and brandy and wood for the fire. Your friends went away. I don't know where they are. And you, Jim? Well," I said to the doctor, "how many are you?" "4," he replied. "One is wounded, and we don't want to see Jim Hawkins again. He ran away and he can die if he wants." Those were his words, Jim. "Well, I know you're going to kill me," I began. "But first I want to tell you my story. Here you are. No ship, no treasure, and a lot of men dead. Do you want to know who did it? It was I. I was in the apple barrel when you talked that night with Hans, and Dick, and the others. And it was I that cut the Hispaniola's anchor. It was I that killed Israel Hands. It was I that took the ship to a place where you'll never find her. I'm not frightened of you, John Silver. Kill me if you want. But if you kill me, you won't have a witness eye when you're captured. If I live, I'll help you and I'll save your lives." Then one of the pirates called Morgan took his knife. "Now you must die," he said to me. "Stop there," shouted Silver. "Who are you, Tom Morgan? Are you the captain here?" "No, I'm the captain, and don't forget it." "Tom is right," said another pirate. "You can go to hell, Silver." "Do you want to fight with me?" Silver shouted in a terrible voice. "Take a cutlass, all of you, if you want to die." "Well, I'm waiting. Who wants to die?" Not one man moved, not one man answered. "Well, I'm captain here because I can fight better than all of you," continued Silver. "I like that boy. He's got a lot of courage, more courage than all of you. So, who is going to kill him, eh?" There was a long silence. Silver stood near me. He smoked his pipe and watched the others. Then one of them said, "We want to go outside and talk about this." And the pirates walked out of the cabin. "Listen, Jim," Silver said quietly. "They're going to kill me. Then they'll kill you. But I want to help you. A moment ago, when you spoke with a lot of courage, I decided to help you. You help Hawkins, and he'll help you, I thought. The ship has gone and we're all finished. But I'll save your life, and you'll save mine." "I'll do what I can," I said. "Good boy, Jim. Listen, I'm not stupid. I'm with the squire now. You've got the ship. I don't know how you did it, but I know when I've lost, I'm with you now." Silver took some cognac from a barrel. "Drink with me, Jim. They're going to come back soon, and then—" He looked at the door nervously. Then he said, "Why did the doctor give me the map, Jim?" I didn't understand, and I looked surprised. "Yes, he gave me the map," Long John said. "Why?" Just then, we heard the buccaneers outside. The door opened and the 5 men came in. One of them walked slowly towards us. He had something in his right hand. "Come on, I won't eat you," said Long John. The buccaneer gave a piece of paper to Silver. He looked at it. "The black spot," he said. "Yes, John Silver," said a buccaneer called George. "You've got the black spot. You're finished now. You're not a good captain. You did things badly. You talked with the doctor and now they're free. And then there's this boy. We're going to be arrested. We'll all die on the gallows. And why? Because you did things badly." "Me? Well, you didn't do what I wanted. You didn't listen to me. And now look at our situation. We'll all die on the gallows in London. Who did it? You did it. And now you want to kill me?" Silver was very angry, and his voice was strong. The pirates listened well. "We're all going to die, and the birds will eat us," he continued. "Thanks to you. And the boy? He's our prisoner. He's our hostage. Are we going to kill our hostage? He'll help us when we're prisoners in London. He's our last hope. Kill him? Not I, mates. Look at you, John. You're wounded. And you, George, you're ill with fever. So what did I do? I didn't kill the doctor. No, I talked with him, and now he comes every day and helps you. Did I do things badly? Well, look at this." Chapter 10. And Long John threw a map on the floor. It was Billy Bones's map, with the 3 red crosses. When I saw it, I thought, why did the doctor give it to Silver? The pirates ran quickly towards it. They took it and they laughed and shouted, but George said, "How can we take the treasure with us? We haven't got the ship." "And who lost the ship?" Silver shouted at him. "I got the map and you lost the ship, but I did things badly, eh? Speak to me politely, George Merry, or I'll kill you." "He's right," said Morgan. "Of course I'm right, but I don't want to be your captain. Find another captain." "No!" the pirates shouted. "We want you, John." "Well, mates, what shall I do with this black spot? I don't want it. Jim, you have it. A present from old John." That was the end of the conversation. After we all drank some brandy, we were ready to sleep. But I didn't sleep immediately. I thought about Silver and his difficult game. He didn't want to die on the gallows. He wanted to save his own life. He was a bad man, but I was sorry for him. His situation was very dangerous. I woke up when I heard the guard's voice outside early next morning. Dr. Livesey was coming. I was happy, but I couldn't look at his face. I remembered that he didn't want to see me again. "Good morning, Doctor, sir," said Long John with a big smile. "Jim Hawkins is here." "Not Jim," said the doctor, and he stopped, surprised. Then he came into the cabin. He looked at me quickly, and he didn't smile. He helped the man with the wound. "Did you take your medicine?" he asked George Merry. "Aye, aye, sir," said Merry. "Good. I'm a pirate's doctor now, and I don't want to lose any of you for the trial in London. Well, I've finished for today, and now I want to talk with that boy, please." "No!" shouted George Merry, red with anger. "Silence!" Silver shouted. "Doctor, thank you for your help. Hawkins, will you give me your word that you will not run away?" I gave Silver my word. "Doctor, go outside the stockade. Jim will stay inside and stand near the wall. Then you can talk to him." When the doctor left the cabin, the men were very angry with Silver. They told him that they understood his game very well. "We made peace with the doctor and his friends," he said. "But when we're ready, we can break it. Then I'll kill that doctor. Believe me." So we went to the wall of the stockade. The other pirates watched us angrily. At the wall, Silver said, "Do you see this, Doctor? I'm helping Jim. He'll tell you that I saved his life. This game is very dangerous for me. Remember that, and help me when you can." Silver's voice trembled. I saw that his face was white. "Are you frightened, John?" the doctor asked. "Doctor, I'm not frightened of anything, but I don't want to die on the gallows in London. You're an honest man. You won't forget that Long John helped you." Then he went away and sat down on the sand. The doctor began sadly, "Hello, Jim. You're with these pirates now, and you can see what happens when you do stupid things. You ran away when the captain was ill and wounded. That was bad." Then I began to cry. "I'm very sorry. I know that I did a stupid thing and now I'm a prisoner. Oh, doctor, I'm really frightened." Now the doctor wasn't angry. "Jim, climb over the wall quickly and we'll run." But I gave Silver my word. "It doesn't matter now. You mustn't stay here. Come on, jump." "No, you know I can't, doctor, but listen. I took the ship to North Inlet. She's on the southern beach." I told the doctor quickly about my adventure. When I finished, he said, "Oh, Jim, you always save our lives, and now we must save yours. Listen, Ben Gunn told us something." But then the doctor stopped and called Silver. He said to him, "You must look for the treasure slowly, and you must be very careful when you find it. There will be problems." "Sir, I don't understand you. What is your game? Why did you leave the cabin? Why did you give me the map? And now you say look for the treasure slowly. Why? You say there'll be problems when we find it. What do you mean?" "T can't tell you now, Silver. I'm sorry. But I can tell you that I'll help you a lot when we return to London. I'll save your life if I can." John Silver looked very happy. "Thank you, sir. But you must help Jim now. He's your responsibility, Silver. Do you understand? Now I must go. Goodbye, Jim." And Dr. Livesey went away. Chapter 11. The Treasure Hunt. "Jim," said Silver, "I heard the doctor when he said, 'Jump over the wall and run.' You didn't do it. You saved my life and I won't forget it. But now we must look for the treasure. I don't like treasure hunts. They're dangerous. You must stay very close to me." When we ate a breakfast of bacon and biscuits with the other pirates, Silver said to them, "Mates, you're lucky because you've got old John and he thinks a lot. The others have got the ship and we don't know where it is. When we get the treasure, we'll find the ship. We've got the boats and we've got our hostage here. But when we get the ship and the treasure, we'll kill him and the others." I was frightened, and I couldn't eat my breakfast. Why did my friends leave the stockade? I thought. Why did they give Silver the map? Why did the doctor say, "There will be problems when you find the treasure"? I couldn't find any answers to these questions. So the treasure hunt began. Silver had 2 guns, a big cutlass, and 2 pistols in the pockets of his coat. His parrot sat on his shoulder and talked, and I walked behind him with a rope round my neck. First we went to the beach and got into the 2 boats. Silver looked at the map. On the back were these words: "Tall tree, Spyglass Hill, points to the northeast, Skeleton Island southeast." "First we must find a tall tree," said Silver. We went along the coast, and after a while we saw a high plateau near Spyglass Hill, with a lot of trees on it. Some of the trees were very tall, so when we saw a good place to stop, we got out of the boats and began to climb towards the plateau. We went up slowly. Suddenly one of the men in front of us shouted, We ran towards him. "Has he found the treasure?" said Morgan. "No," said another man. "He's very frightened." Then we saw a human skeleton under a big tree, and we all became cold with terror. "He was a seaman," said George Mary. "Look at the arms and hands and feet," said Silver. "They aren't in a natural position." He was right. The skeleton's feet pointed in one direction. The arms and the hands pointed in the opposite direction. "I think I understand," said Silver. "Look, it's pointing southeast, at Skeleton Island. Captain Flint killed him and put him here, as a compass." Morgan said, "It's Allardyce. He took my knife with him. I remember now." "Well, the knife isn't here now. Where is it?" asked George. "Maybe Flint took it," Morgan said. "Maybe he's still alive." "No, he's dead," said George. "Well, maybe it's his ghost," Morgan cried. "Stop this talk," shouted Silver. "Flint is dead and there isn't a ghost. Come, let's go." So we continued walking. On the plateau, we sat down to rest. We could see the Cape of the Woods in front of us. Behind us was the harbor and Skeleton Island. Above us was Spyglass Hill. "There are only 3 tall trees in the direction of Skeleton Island," Silver said. "It will be easy now. Come on, boys. Let's go." But suddenly a voice began to sing. 15 men on the dead man's chest. Yo-ho-ho, and a bottle of rum. It was a strange high voice, and it came from the trees. The men's faces went white. They stood up quickly. "Oh, God, it's Flint," said George. The voice stopped. Silver's face was very white, too. But he said, "Come on, boys, don't be frightened. Someone is playing a game with us." The voice suddenly began again. It didn't sing this time. "Darby McGraw!" it shouted from far away. "Darby McGraw! Bring the rum! Darby!" The buccaneers didn't move. They didn't speak. "I know those words," Morgan said. "They were Flint's last words." Silver was very frightened, too. He said quietly, "Who knows the name Darby McGraw on this island? Only us, Flint's men." Then he said in a loud voice, "Mates, I want that treasure and nobody will stop me. It is very near here and I'm going to find it." "It's Flint's ghost, John," said Morgan. "Ghost? Well, that voice had an echo, and a ghost's voice doesn't have an echo. Am I right, mates?" "Yes, that's true," George Mary said. "You're an intelligent man, John. Courage, mates. I'm not sure that the voice was Flint's. It was like—" "Ben Gunn's voice, by God," shouted Silver. "Who is frightened of Ben Gunn?" Mary asked. "Not me." The buccaneers weren't frightened now, and the color returned to their faces. They began to laugh and talk. Then we continued walking, and we arrived at the first of the tall trees. But it wasn't the right one. We went to the second tree. It wasn't Flint's. But the third tree was very tall, about 200 feet high. We all knew that in the ground under that tree was the treasure. My companions ran towards it, and Silver followed them on his crutch. Sometimes he pulled me with the rope. Sometimes he looked at me with terrible eyes that said, "I'm going to put the treasure on the Hispaniola, and then I'm going to kill you and all your friends." Suddenly the men stopped. There was a cry of surprise. In front of us was a very big hole in the ground. It wasn't recent because there was grass in it. There were some pieces of wood with walrus on them, the name of Flint's ship. But there wasn't any treasure in the hole. It was empty. Chapter 12. The buccaneers couldn't believe their eyes. They just stood and looked at the hole. But John Silver's surprise passed quickly. He said to me quietly, "Are you ready, Jim?" And he gave me a pistol. Then quietly he began to move to one side of the hole. Now it was between us and the buccaneers. He looked at me and smiled. The others jumped into the hole and tried to dig with their fingers. Morgan found a piece of money and gave it to his companions. £2! Mary shouted at Silver. "You knew that the hole was empty." "Do you want to be Captain, Mary?" Silver answered. But this time all the pirates were with Mary, and they were all very angry. They began to climb out of the hole. Then we all stood there, 2 on one side of the hole, 5 on the other. Silver watched them with a calm expression. Nobody spoke. Then Mary said, "Mates, there are only 2 of them. Silver has got 1 leg and Hawkins is only a boy. Now, mates," but he didn't finish. There were 3 shots from the trees. Crack, crack, crack. And Mary fell dead into the hole. Another pirate fell dead too. The other 3 ran away. Just then, the doctor, Gray, and Ben Gunn came out of the trees with their guns. "Quick, boys!" shouted the doctor. "To the boats, before the pirates get there!" And we all ran into the trees. Silver ran very fast on his crutch. Then he shouted, "It's all right, doctor. Look, they aren't going to the boats." So we all sat down to rest. Soon we went down the hill towards the boats, and Ben Gunn told us his story. "I found the skeleton of Allardyce a long time ago, and I took his knife. And then 2 months ago, I found the treasure. I took it to a cave in a hill on the northeast of the island. It's there now." Then the doctor told us his story. "When I left the stockade, I went to find Ben Gunn," he said, and he told me his story. "Well, the next morning I saw that the ship wasn't there. So I went to Silver and gave him the map because now I knew that it didn't show where the treasure was. Then the squire, the captain, and I went to Ben's cave. I didn't want to leave you with the pirates, Jim, but you ran away, so what could I do? Then I saw you at the stockade and you told me your story. I knew that your situation was very dangerous, so I ran back to the cave. Gray, Ben, and I took our guns. We wanted to arrive at the big tree before you and the pirates, but you were a long way in front of us. So Ben tried to stop the pirates. He shouted in Captain Flint's voice and the pirates stopped. So we arrived at the tree first and we waited for you. When we found the boats, the doctor destroyed one of them and we all got into the other. Then we went towards North Inlet. We passed Ben Gunn's hill and saw his cave. We continued for 3 miles, and then we suddenly saw the Hispaniola. She wasn't on the beach in North Inlet. The sea came in and carried her away, the doctor said. But she's all right. Gray, you can stay on her tonight and guard her. So we got out of the boat on the beach at Rum Bay, near Ben's cave, and Gray went to the Hispaniola. When we arrived at the cave, the squire met us. "John Silver," he said, "you're a very bad man. But the doctor told me that we mustn't arrest you. You're a lucky man, Silver." "Thank you very much, sir," said Long John. "Don't thank me, my man. I wanted to arrest you." We went into the cave. Captain Smollett was near a big fire. And then I saw Flint's treasure in a corner. Lots and lots of gold. For dinner that night, we had Ben's goat and some wine from the Hispaniola. We were all very happy. And Silver sat with us. He talked and laughed. Early next morning, we took all the treasure to the beach. Then Gray and Ben Gunn took it by boat to the Hispaniola. There was lots of it, and we worked all day for 3 days. On the third night, the doctor and I walked on the hill. We heard some voices far away in the night. "It's the 3 pirates," said the doctor. "They're all drunk, sir," said John Silver behind us. The doctor didn't answer, and he didn't look at Silver. The buccaneer was always polite to us now, and he always tried to do a lot of things for us, but nobody liked him. We didn't hear the pirates again, and we decided to leave them on the island. We left some food for them. Then we went to the Hispaniola and sailed her away. The 3 pirates watched us from the island. "Don't leave us here," they shouted. But we didn't take them. They were dangerous, and we didn't want any problems. Soon the island was far away, and then there was only the sea. I was very happy. With only 6 men, we couldn't sail the ship to England, so we went to a port in Spanish America. Lots of Indians came to our ship to sell fruit and vegetables. That night, we went to the town, and we met an English captain. He took us to his ship for dinner, and it was very late when we arrived back on the Hispaniola. Ben Gunn was on board. He told us that John Silver wasn't there. "He went away in a boat a few hours ago," he said. "I'm sorry. You see, I helped him, but I did it to save your lives. I'm sure he wanted to kill you all. He took some of the treasure with him, about 500 pounds. Well," said the captain with a smile, "I think that's cheap. Only 500 pounds, and we won't see Silver again." I'll finish my story quickly. We found some seamen and sailed to England. When the Hispaniola arrived at Bristol, we divided the treasure between us. Now Captain Smollett doesn't work. Gray saved his money, and now he has his own business. Ben Gunn got 1,000 pounds and he lost it in 3 weeks. I don't know where John Silver is now. Perhaps he's living happily with his parrot Captain Flint. Sometimes I dream about Silver and Treasure Island. Then I wake up suddenly with the voice of Captain Flint in my ears. "Pieces of 8! Pieces of 8!" I also thought about poor Jim Hawkins. Where was he? An hour later, somebody called from the woods behind the stockade. "Doctor! Squire! Captain! Hello, Hunter! Is that you?" I ran to the door of the cabin. It was Jim Hawkins. He was safe.